Hello, my stamping friends. This is Renee Novak, blessedbycards.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I'm here to share with you a 3D project, a little treat container that we created at our last in-person stamp camp. So what we made were the old-fashioned sour cream containers, and we filled them with treats. So I thought I would share with you a couple ideas on how to do that. So the first thing you want to do is start with a piece of designer series paper of your choice. It can be anything you want to create. If you have a holiday theme for Easter or Christmas, it can be a pattern paper for that season. But it needs to be cut 4 by 6. And then what you want to do is kind of roll it a little bit so that it's easier to tape when you're putting your treats in. So you just kind of want to roll it, portrait position, so that it looks like a paper little toilet paper holder. And so that's the first thing you're going to need to do. We set this aside. And so that's how you can create your designer series paper tube. And then if you want to get even more creative, I thought I would show you how to create this make your own. If you don't have a designer series paper, if you wanted to do your own design, you just need a couple of blending brushes and colors of your choice. I'm going soft pastel, but you can do brights. And then you need a 4 by 6 piece of white cardstock. And I recommend a piece of the grid paper so that you can protect your surface. And so I'm just going to show you real quickly how to do that on the back. So what you want to do is just open your pad, take your blending brush, and get a little bit of ink on it. And what I like to do is kind of start a little bit dabbing on my scrap paper. And then I kind of start in the center of my paper, and I just do a real soft swirl to get my color. And it's really good to just do a soft touch, and then you can keep going back and forth on it to get a darker color so that you don't get any blotchiness on it. And just grab some more ink, and then just, depends on how big, how wide you want to make it, you can make it, and then add some at another space. So the reason I start in the middle is so that you don't get this. If you start off and you come on softly on the side, you're going to get all this ink gathering on the side. I don't know if you can see that. But if you don't like that look, you can either start in the center, or you can cut your paper bigger when you're doing your blending, and then you can cut it down to size after you're finished. So let me just show you real quick how this blends up. Just put a little bit in there and then just put it on here. And like I said, you can do any color combination that you want to, but you just do a really kind of like a soft touch and just keep going over and over. And the more you, the softer you do it, the smoother it looks, and then you can just continue to add color, okay? So that is how you create your own treat container, or you can do designer series paper of your choice. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to create that. I'm going to set the one aside. We'll do them both. You just roll that up, and what you want to do is you want to put adhesive on this piece of your you can use liquid glue. Maybe I will use liquid glue. It'll go faster. You can use tear and tape, or you can do the stamp and seal, but you can also just use liquid glue. And I just put it on the edge of that, and then I want to roll my paper up like this and grab it. And I don't have a big border, so just enough to get it to adhere. And then it'll stick, and you want to hold it down so that it gets nice and firm. Want a good seal. Okay. And then what you want to do is find the center of that where you just sealed it. And when you go to do the next part, you don't want the center to be in the center. You want it to be a little off-centered. So with your tube, you want to put some glue on the inside of your tube, just at the top there. And you really just need it on one side. And then you're just going to find that center, make it a little bit off centered, and then fold that down so that you get a good seal with your end. All right, and that is what you're going to have. You're going to have this look. And then what we're going to do is pull out a really old tool that we used to use a long time ago, the crimper, and I'm going to stick it in there, and I'm just going to crimp it a little bit on the ends. So you can just stick it straight in there and then crimp it back and forth, and you've got a little seal. Okay, next thing you're going to do is you're going to grab your treats. In this case, we're going to use some pastel M&Ms from Easter, and we're just going to fill our container. And you don't want to fill it too full because you want to be able to seal it. So then after you are all full, then you kind of pinch it the opposite way. So we have this one down here, and so you want to pinch it the opposite way. So you find that center again and go the opposite way so that you have a sour cream looking container. I don't think they sell these anymore, or I used to be able to get them when I'd take my mother-in-law to Wendy's. She'd like to get the baked potato at Wendy's, and they used to give you little bits of sour cream in these containers. So that was a long time ago. All right, so there you go. You just put a little bit of glue on that side and seal it up, and then you again bring your little crimper back, stick it straight in there, and there you have it. That is how simple and easy that comes. Then you just make a little tag for it, and let me just show you real quick how this one would look. You again seal it up, and then I just put a little bit of adhesive. I like to put mine just on the top of that edge. Again, you can use this tear and tape, or you can use the stamp and seal. The liquid glue seals real nicely, and it gives you a little wiggle room to get it straight. So there you go. I just stick it straight on like that. And then again, you want that center to be off-centered. So I find my center, I'm going to go that way. So I'm going to grab my glue and put a little bit on the inside. And then I'm just going to seal that off-centered. And then we're going to grab our handy dandy crimper. These used to be really popular when we were doing scrapbooking, 15, 20 years ago. So then you want to do the opposite way. So I'm going to grab my M&Ms and fill them up. Of course, you might want to fill your bowl a little fuller if you want to steal a few while you're doing this project. So going the opposite way, I am going to kind of make a seal that I'm going to open it back up to put my glue in there. And then glue it down. It's kind of a messy project when you use liquid glue because it comes out like that. You get it all over your fingers. All right. Then grab our crimper. Stick that right in there. And there's that one. So then the last thing that you need to do is create a tag. And I'm just using our punch from the catalog. Triple colored. Okay, and then you just pick your color of choice. I'm going, since this is Highland Heather and Summer Splash, I'm going to pick a little gorgeous grape. I've got my For You from the Tags of Thanks. And I'm just going to stick that straight down on there. And there is your tag. So that is how super simple this is. And I would recommend either using tear and tape or stamp and seal for your tag because the glue just takes so much longer. So we're just going to stick a little bit of that on here for our tag. Peel that off. And there you have your tag for that. So that's all I have for today's Weekly Wednesday. Thanks for watching. Be sure to join me next week for another Weekly Wednesday. Stop by on Monday for a Make It Monday tutorial. And until then, be blessed.